me.
It is a place where the truth should be kept.
The arts and music scene really shows what people are about.
Share what's going on here in York.
It makes you feel like a family.
Local art has a face that most people can relate to.
Our community up here that sticks together.
Art is art.
Great potential with great artists, poets, singers, writers, directors, filmmakers. It's fantastic.
Everyone has a story to tell.
That moment, you have to capture that moment and share it with the rest of the world.
Showing something that maybe is not been seen before.
Without art, what good is life?
I am art. I've been art ever since I was born.
It really adds a great deal to our community.
We don't really need art to exist, but you need art to live.
Culture in Maine is important, and I think playing out is important, and playing open mics and playing wherever you can play. It's all about us all checking in with each other.
I am tired of this cumbrous life, of all its toil and care, of all its tumult and its strife and anguish everywhere. For all its joys are fleeting by and heave a sad departing sigh. Anguish and turmoil around me are wherever I will go. Sadness and grief, all pleasures mar in this sad life below. For here, no lasting bliss is found. No, in this world, no joys abound. Consider mine affliction, Lord, for thou canst set me free. Thou canst, according to thy word, relief give unto me, that I, the more thy name may praise. To thee, my faltering voice I raise, yet, Lord, I will, not mine, be done. I yield myself to thee. Till my appointed time doth come, that thou wilt set me free of all this worldly grief below, of all its anguish, grief, and woe. I am tired of this cumbrous life. When we've crossed the river Jordan, we then in endless bliss shall roam, and we shall no foe encounter there in that quiet, peaceful home. When we've crossed the river Jordan, then all our sorrows shall be over. From that place we never shall wander, when over its beauties we shall explore, and we ever shall be singing the song of Moses and the Lamb, and we never shall be ceasing to praise his blessed and holy name. When we've crossed the river Jordan, then great our happiness shall be. In that charming home in glory, we shall eternal gladness see. No affliction shall assail us. There, in that holy, happy land, there, we never shall meet as strangers, but shall ever united stand. When we've crossed the River Jordan, we've safely landed on its shore, we shall hear the angels chanting redemption's love forevermore. We shall join them in their anthems. Our voices shall through heaven resound with the worship of our Savior, who we've so true and loving found. Let us sweetly journey on, journey to that land of peace, where the gladness of the blessed nor their harmony shall cease, where the great eternal reigns over the redeemed and good, where he still doth feed his sheep with his everlasting food. Let us sweetly journey on, journey to that land of joy, where the purest bliss and truth shall e'er be without alloy, where no discontent nor grief shall e'er taint its youthful bloom, where the holy and the true shall e'er in its glory roam. Let us sweetly journey on, journey to that land of love, where the wicked no more shall round the table just and happy rove, where they ever shall be free from temptation and from woe, where they ever shall be glad and no grief nor sorrow know. Let us journey sweetly on, journey to that land so fair, where no strife shall ever be to disturb its inmates there, where rejoicing ever is amongst the sweet and seraphic band, where they ever shall around God's eternal altar stand. Let us journey, let us sweetly journey on, journey to that land of rest, till we anchor safely there in the harbor of the blessed, till we join the angels sweet in their endless joyfulness, till we shall the glorious crown of that lovely land finally possess. Written on July 15th, 1869, the year of our Lord, in York, Pennsylvania. To my dear and compassionate friend, the little bit of poetry here offered by its writer, it will be proper to observe, is published only at the earnest request of a number of personal friends. The poems it contains were written under circumstances of a peculiar character and are the product of a mind trained in the school of more than ordinary affliction. During a period of 18 years, the writer has been confined to a bed of sickness, her disease being a spinal affliction, disabling her from walking or even assuming an erect position on her couch. What renders her condition still more painful is the fact that both her parents, whom she ardently loved and who always faithfully provided for her wants, were, in the providence of God, removed by the hand of death. Being thus left to herself with an affectionate sister as her only companion, and secluded from all personal intercourse with society at large, she devoted herself, as she had previously done, to the reading of useful books, books of devotion and science, and to the composition of prose and poetry in both the English and German languages, with a zeal and pertinacity truly astonishing. Considering the unfavorable circumstances under which this book was prepared, and the fact that its writer has not enjoyed the advantages of even an ordinary education, a discerning public will readily excuse any imperfection which may attach to her labors. As the different subjects on which the poems treat have been a source of rich consolation to this writer in her affliction, the hope is indulged that they will prove equally beneficial to others in similar circumstances. May this book, may these words find an extensive circulation and be richly crowned with the blessing of God. My friend, I place my words and my trust in you. May you go forth in safety and in blessing. Most sincerely, Rachel Bond, York, Pennsylvania, 1869.
And now for our feature presentation.
In the city of York, Pennsylvania, a unique heralding of the joyous Christmas season occurs every Christmas Eve. We hope you enjoy this glorious tradition from York, Pennsylvania.
Shane Speal, and I'm known as the king of the cigar box guitar. Maybe you've seen my snake oil band, a modern-day jug band made up of homemade instruments. I'm always on the search for a new sound. Today, I'm on a quest to find the secrets behind one of the most unusual instruments of all, the Christmas steam whistle in my hometown of York, Pennsylvania. I want to find out the secrets of the performers behind it, what it's like to play, and even create one for my band to play in concert. Together with musical instrument inventor C.B. Giddy, I'm chasing steam.
Or am I chasing steam?
Each year, at the stroke of midnight on Christmas morning, a century-old factory steam whistle belts out 25 minutes of Christmas carols in a concert that Guinness calls the world's loudest concert without amplification by a non-musical instrument. The sound is eerie, and it can be heard up to 12 miles away. Cars pull over to listen. Tailgaters show up to the factory to be part of the scene. And after every song, the entire city honks their horns in applause. Here's why I think the steam whistle concert is the definitive sound of York. Back in the day, back during the Industrial Revolution, you had these steam whistle sounds all over town, and people based their lives upon it. They based their day upon it. Way over there was the Black Hosiery Mills, which is now York Wall Coverings. And they had a steam whistle that would go in the morning and the afternoon. And that would kind of serve West York, and that would hit that area. But if we come along over here, we look way over on that part of town near where York College is. That used to be the old York Manufacturing, which later became York International. And that one, they said, had a steam whistle that was so loud it sounded like an ocean liner. Because way over on this side of town, we have what was the A.B. Farquhar factory, and that's where they made farm equipment. That's where they made steam engines. And that was the whistle that, especially from noon to 1 p.m., that whistle would blow, and the whole downtown would base their day off of that. You know, yes, you had the church whistles and other things, but you had these loud steam whistles. Now, I want you to think about something. I'm a professional musician, and I frequently play a small little bar right down the corner here called First Capital Dispensing Company. And there's been a few times where they got in trouble for noise violations when my band played there. Now, imagine this. People getting upset for the music just coming out of a small bar like that. But back in the day, these sounds were everywhere. There was noise everywhere. There was life. There was activity. People working. Steam, smoke coming up from the smokestacks. This is York. This is what York was about. It was a gritty industrial town. This says everything about this town. You want to talk about a sound of York. The sound of York was these factories, was these whistles. Sometime in 1925, a young 20-year-old musician named Carl Alex Smizer asked New York Wire if he could restart the concert tradition, and on December 23rd of that year, Smizer grabbed the control arm and played his very first steam whistle concert. Carl Alex Smizer was a local rock star. He was proficient in banjo and guitar, and he led the massive Carl Alex Smizer Banjo Band. Why isn't this stuff in all the history books around here? So with Smizer gone, the New York Wire Company started looking for another musician to take the reins, and they found local trumpet player and music teacher Marlon Ryan. This is an actual recording of Marlon Ryan performing a Christmas concert. This morning I'm driving to the new location at Mezzo, and I'm going to meet Donald Ryan, the guy that goes by the name Whistle Master. Donald has been the man who has performed the factory steam whistle concerts for 60 years now. For the last 25 years, he's performed solo. Before that, he performed with his father, Marlon Ryan, and both of them worked together every Christmas Eve to play this steam whistle. Here we are, inside the inner workings of the Mezzo factory on Arch Street. Now we're walking down here, and if you look up on top of this roof, you can't see it yet, but that's where they've put the old steam whistle in its new location. And from here, you'll be able to hear that steam whistle for up to 12 miles away, depending on the weather. Ed, how you doing?
Very good.
Shane Speal.
Nice to meet you, Shane.
It's Ed Koval from Mezzo, and he is the, what do you,
plant manager.
The plant manager here.
Yes.
And one of the men that kept the steam whistle concert going by moving the whistle from the New York Wire Company to right here, right up about there with the steam whistle. We're going to go inside. I'm going to finally meet the whistle master, and we're going to find out all about the steam whistle. Let's go chase some steam. This is the break room of Mezzo, and this is where the magic happens. And why don't you come on in here? I finally get to meet the man himself, Don Ryan.
Pleased to meet you.
Whistle master, right?
Right.
See, everybody's got to have a title. I think that's an awesome title. And this behind here is the controls.
Here. What he's going to do now is attach a rod here, and this is going to be attached to actually the valve itself. That lets the steam into the whistle, or the air in this case, into the whistle.
Okay, so wait, now hold on. Now I think I get it. If this were a trombone, let's say, that would be the mouth at the mouthpiece blowing the air in.
That's
blowing the air in.
That's it.
So the factory steam whistle takes 2 people to run it. Three people.
4. Really 4 people.
Wait, now hold on a second. You have one guy doing the air, okay?
Yeah, that lets the air into the whistle.
What's the second person do?
Well, the first person really is the one who operates the air compressor.
Okay, so he's somewhere else.
He's somewhere else running the air compressor, and his job is to keep a certain pressure.
Okay.
Okay, and maintain that pressure. That's a very important job.
Okay.
If I don't have him, I can't do it, see? So he has to maintain that constant air pressure.
So you have the guy that's the lungs outside making the air. You have the person that is blowing the air in here, which is running that, opens up the air to get the steam whistle going.
If my children aren't here, one of my students will do this. They point out to the music. Okay?
All right.
Because my chart is up here. Okay? So I'm constantly looking back and forth. Because I get to practice this 2 or 3 times, well, 2, maybe 1 time, before I actually do the concert.
Correct. Okay.
Okay? It's not like playing any other instrument. Okay?
You never get to practice all year long. Now wait, now hold on. This is a historic piece as well, correct?
Yeah. Oh my,
tell me about this.
This scale is made up of a yardstick with cardboard glued to it. Okay, very high tech.
Look at this. What you have are simple hand markings of where the notes are. You see D, E, F, G, A, and these are all faded over time. And this, you've been using this for how long?
Well, this will be my 60th year.
You and your father created this scale.
Yeah. Now, it took us about 7 years in the beginning. It took us 7 years to develop what we have today. This didn't happen overnight.
Okay.
Okay. First year, when we went in the summertime of '55, we played London Bridge. It was our first song.
Wow.
With that in mind, the head of the company, Mr. Root, that was president of the company, Wire Cloth Company at that time. We met with him, and Dad said he'd like to give it a try, and so...
so it's not like you came from a long line of steam whistle players.
No.
You guys started right then at 55 for the first time. Why don't you show me that this is the main controller that you perform with and have been for 60 years, and this has also been performed since 1899.
Right.
This actual piece, what are we looking at right here?
Well, what this lever does is hooked up to a mechanism, a lever mechanism. It has this rod. If you can see the rod here, that goes right up to the whistle, and that's a piston right inside the whistle.
Okay.
Okay, and that moves the piston. This moves the piston. As I move this, that moves that piston up and down inside that whistle. This is low pitch. Okay. My low note. As I move it to my far right, that brings it up, make high pitch.
Using a trombone is an example. This is the arm of the trombone.
Right.
And so this is moving it back and forth, and that's when you hear, and you're just moving that sucker back and forth like that the whole time.
Right.
If we had a film budget from the Discovery Channel, I might spend days talking to every factory and historian in town. However, this is community access with the same budget as a Rebel O'Leary episode. So we went with Plan B and headed to the York Agricultural and Industrial Museum for a one-stop shop to find out more about the steam whistle and factory life. The museum houses equipment and photos from all different factories in the area, and it's a true motherlode of information about York's blue-collar past.
Nice. There you go. With the movable piston. And it really shows you how small it is to be going 12 miles.
So here it is. This is the same type of whistle that is used on top of Mezzo factory. The same type of whistle that has been used for the factory steam whistle concert for over 100 years. This is C.B. Giddy, a famed musical instrument inventor from Rochester, New Hampshire. We worked closely together on various instruments used in my band. I gave him a call and challenged him to create a totally handmade version of the York steamed whistle. I figured we'd play it at a special concert inside Liquid Hero Brewery. Although he only had 4 days' notice, he jumped right in, using every bit of equipment from the C.B. Giddy factory. He even promised to drive it down from New England and deliver it in person. He's crazy like that. So last night, my friend here, C.B. Giddy, came down from New Hampshire and brought this to my concert. And we performed with it on stage. This is, tell me, what am I looking at here?
This is something that may never have existed before. It's an air whistle modeled after the York steam whistle and a much smaller scale that was built specifically so it could be played on stage and music be made with it. When you called me up and said, Ben, I need a whistle of some kind, I need something that approximates the steam whistle, I got to thinking about that, and this is what came from it. I went online first and I found some plans for PVC pipe whistles, slide whistles made from PVC pipe, and I started with a couple of those, and they're pretty cool. You know, you can make sounds with them and get sounds out of them, but you know what I'm all about and what we're all about is making musical instruments out of old stuff.
Exactly.
Not going to the hardware store and buying pipes, but like, what can I use to make a whistle, specifically a slide whistle, from stuff that already existed, and ideally, you know, old stuff from America's industrial past. And one day I was thinking about it, I was thinking about boat bilge pumps and all this stuff. What has a movable slide already in it? And this bicycle pump just popped into my head. This is a bicycle pump that I used as a kid in my grandfather's garage to fill up bike tires and inner tubes.
Old American metal here. Huh?
This is a metal bicycle pump that I used as a kid, and you know, it's like, it's got the plunger in there, it's got the part. So
it's airtight.
It is airtight. It's made to do this sort of thing. And I was able to keep the original hose that came off of it as the air inflow. Had to drill that out to make the hole bigger. And
this has the cut fipple like a slide whistle has. Tell me, how did you come about putting the cutting the fipple in there?
Well, from the plans I had found online, it basically said, you know, you cut it at a 45 degree, 90 degree and a 45 degree, and then you put a piece in there that's kind of like a plug with a flatted side that directs the air up and over that sharp edge. And it's that direction of the air and the change in pressure that creates the vibration in the air air inside the whistle, which makes the sound that we hear.
A metal slide whistle that they would sell in a music store. So you have, just like any whistle would have, like the York steam whistle has, this area that's cut right here is called the fipple, and that's the air comes through, and this cuts the air, and it gives you the So we have that, but then this is what they call a plunger.
Yes.
And that's actually what you have right here.
So all we really had to do to turn a bicycle pump into a slide whistle is cut this opening in the end of the pipe, put a block in there. You can see on your slide whistle how it's thinner here.
Right.
And that is basically doing the same thing as our plug is in there with the flatted side that constricts the air, forces it over this cut, and that causes vibration.
This thing is only like 15 inches high, and it will project almost 12 miles on a clear night. I mean, we're talking about 134 decibels. Now think about this. When it comes to a rock show, like I would perform with my band, if we hit 120 decibels, that's about typical, where you see people wearing earplugs in the front rows. 120 decibels is about your typical rock show. I think it's somewhere around 115, 120 for a jet airline. Now take it up to 134 decibels. That's what comes out of this 15-inch tall factory steam whistle. You can hear this thing for miles around. I'm talking up to 12 miles away. Somebody can hear this concert. Now, I like my music loud, but I have never had anyone say they could listen to me 12 miles away. How physically straining is a steam whistle concert for you?
It is very straining. There's a lot of mental strain.
Okay.
Beforehand, my wife takes a big notice of me as I'm getting into December.
You turn into a Christmas grump.
Well, there's a lot of focus that takes place too, and concentration.
When you can't practice this thing and everybody around hears you,
yeah. As you know, as a musician, a lot of things go on behind closed doors that a lot of people don't see. The practicing before you perform. Well, I don't have that convenience, and so there's a lot of concentration because I'm hitting one note at a time.
Okay.
There's no improvising. I can't improvise. And I just stop this at different places here. Okay. I just stop it at different places. And this is how I get my different notes. So I can't improvise or anything like that. So I got to play it as is. Okay. And so there's a lot that goes into that mentally. And I use this gauge to check to make sure I got the right pressure, and if it's varying at all, I also look at that as I'm playing to see if it's changing it or anything. And we're using a 1600 CFM air compressor. It's the largest portable air compressor that you can get, and it maintains a nice steady pressure. When I was in steam, it was 112 to 115. We're finding it air is around 85.
Okay.
To 90, in that range there. Now, here again, you got to be careful. Too much can blows it out of pitch.
Oh, wow.
Not enough
makes it flat. See, I learned.
Competition now. I got competition now. Whoa.
This tiny little thing sits on top of a factory and performs for people 12 miles around. How amazing is that? When you think that we play guitars through big amplifiers, through rows of stacks that still cannot get the same volume as this small factory steam whistle. Every city has an indigenous music. Detroit has Motown. New Orleans has jazz. Nashville, Austin, Philly, each one has a music native to the area. But what about our town? If we were to ascribe one music to York, Pennsylvania that defines the area, what would it sound like? York is a city of blue-collar workers, of factories and calloused hands. It's hard hats and hard work with sweat and grime, and a 2% raise each year if you're lucky. When I first moved to York in the early 90s, I took a job at a factory running forklift and working in the warehouse, clocking in before sunrise and working up until dinner time. I worked alongside good people that grunted and scraped a living and would spend their coffee breaks scanning the one ads for better factory gigs.
They had a big dye house. It smelled of formaldehyde and hot steam, and it was nasty, and people that worked in there kind of had the worst job of the factory because they were using all these chemicals to throw and to dye the fabric. That was one job I never wanted. Thank God I was never asked to do it. This is where I used to work. This was the old Danskin factory. And they made women's clothes here. This is where I first got a job back in 1994. I can remember coming here, we'd start the day, the workday started at 6 in the morning. And like at 5:45, everything would be dark. And people would be kind of milling around. Just outside here, there'd be a food truck selling coffee. And everybody'd be huddled around waiting until it got close to the time for the whistle to go off and we would clock ourselves in.
Boston said if I'd be late, surely had my head. Whistle called my name, blowing through my dream. Oh, am I working for a better life? Or am I chasing?
Sometimes I would bring my cigar box guitar to work and play during lunch. I'd sit on the dock and pick out some blues tunes for whoever would listen. Inevitably, someone would start talking about the unusual instrument I was playing and get on the subject of other instruments. And then they would mention the steam whistle.
You know, the morning whistle dictated your day, and you didn't leave until the 3 o'clock whistle went off.
As I said before, I'm a sound searcher. Well, it really came out when we were filming the museum segment because I discovered an unbelievable thing called a horse fiddle on display right there in the museum.
What is this? You said this is a musical instrument.
Yeah, this is what we believe a horse fiddle.
Okay, a horse fiddle.
Yes. So
this big box here.
Yeah, a horse fiddle with a very long bow.
Ben, let's get this bow. Check this out. The world's biggest violin bow. What does a horse fiddle do? Why is it made? What's the story?
So the easy answer is that the horse fiddle was made to make really loud noise. The thought is that this goes back to a medieval tradition on a wedding night. Usually guests of a party would go to the newly wedded couple's house.
The chivalry.
Chivalry. Make some noise, use something like this to kind of disturb them, and the idea was that they would come out, thank their guests, offer them a drink, and then they go on their merry way.
There's a thing about chivalries. Now, like he said, someone would get married, and they'd have the reception and celebration, and then they'd go home to their newlywed house. And as soon as they would blow out the last candle, everybody from town would sneak up in front of their house and use clangers and different things to, get them back out of bed and come out and give drinks or candy. Now, this is a chivalry instrument.
Yeah, that's what we believe it to be. It's basically a wooden box. Looks like it was pieced together from wooden crates.
Okay.
On the inside, there's metal wire that's strung across either side. And then it looks like some spare metal plates, gears perhaps from the machine would hang down from a plow.
Yeah, those are old plow discs.
They would hang down and then rattle around, make some noise.
Okay.
And the shape of this, when the bow is pulled across, will really give you a nice loud noise as well. So this is rosin. So if you think of a pitcher in baseball, rosin bag.
They would actually rosin up the bow for this thing.
That came from, we have a Lewis Miller sketch that actually depicts something very similar to this, but it looks like if you put some rosin on there, it helps with the sliding motion a little bit, just to make it a little bit easier for you. So.
Now this is a violin bow in a way. Okay, and how How does it work? We got to do this.
So basically, 2 people on either side.
Okay, Ben, you get over there.
All right.
Are you ready for this?
Which way are we going?
The horse fiddle will go towards me first. You ready?
Go faster?
Yeah. Oh, this is ungodly. I'm in love. This is great. This is the type of instrument I'm searching for in life. Things that are forgotten about.
I'm taking measurements in my mind because.
Oh no, Ben's gonna build one now. Watch out.
The construction here, it's round head nails now, but you can see where the square nails used to be.
Yep.
So it was reconstructed, it was fixed.
But look how thought out it is. It took them hours to put this together. This wasn't just thrown together in 10 minutes.
These were put through and then twisted.
Put through and twisted.
And put the whole thing under tension, because wood under tension will ring more than...
And notice they chopped out the wood because they found out it wasn't vibrating enough.
Too thick.
It was too thick, so they chopped it out here.
And probably without some sort of brace there, this top piece will break and crack and split.
Oh, this is...
With more clangy bits.
Yeah, we need more clangy bits, and you know what I think it needs? An electric pickup.
An array of piezoelectric pickups all around the base.
With a big amplifier beside it.
That is a perfect example of people making, I'll say sound, not necessarily music, but sound from nothing.
I have never heard of a horse fiddle before in my life. This is amazing. I think I need one for my band.
Okay, sorry. I see a freakish instrument and I get sidetracked. Back to steam whistles.
So as a loud rocker, I'm pretty excited, of course.
This is blowing me away. That's what's so great about it. This was never meant to be more than, you know, break times at a factory or fire calls, if I'm correct.
Right. What they use these variable pitch whistles for, I call it a variable pitch. The name of the company, the crane company, calls this a mockingbird whistle. That's why you have a difficult time finding things. Another company calls it a warbling whistle.
Now, these are what they found in the catalogs back in the early 1900s.
They didn't know what to call them.
Right.
So they gave them these names, okay? But really what it is, it's a variable pitch. There's a lot of single pitches, but a variable pitch, what a lot of companies, even there's several in New York here. Glen Rock had a duplicate at the one at the museum. I think that's the one from Glen Rock.
Okay.
And it's a duplicate of what we have on our roof right now. They were used back then for signaling. People live close to their work, so they could use a different pitch for the start of the workday, lunchtime.
Oh!
And they can have it at different pitches during the day for different things. Now, for emergency purposes, they could use certain signals with this variable pitch. It had a lot more versatility than just a single pitch whistle.
Is it true? I read somewhere that this whistle was also used in World War II for certain emergency calls.
Yes, they used whistles all over, really, for just that for air raids.
Right.
Okay, they used whistles, okay? And
people actually ask me what if I were to describe what the factory steam whistle concert sounded like, and I say it sounds like Christmas at an air raid. Really, it has that eerie sound to it, you know, and so that makes sense that this whistle, this thing that was never meant to be an instrument, was perfect for announcing air raids, fires, emergencies, as well as beginning of the workday, end of the workday.
Right.
York is the only place you hear this anymore, but this used to be a commonplace type of concert when you had these steam whistles in different factories all over the world. People who ran them would have fun and learn to play these and play concerts on them. So to have a steam whistle concert back in the late 1800s, early 1900s was something that many communities would have.
You're right, it was common. And my dad belonged to a steam society out in Ohio, and he met a gentleman from New York who had a tugboat with a variable pitch whistle on. He'd go out in the Atlantic Ocean and practice, come in and play tunes on it in Inner Harbor. Wow. And, but he had that convenience of going out and practicing.
I read somewhere that when you guys first ran the steam whistle, and when it ran off of steam, it was coal powered. Is it true that you guys would use 7 tons of coal just for one concert?
Yes. Yes, we used a lot of coal back then. Yes, definitely. Now, way back, okay, let's step back when it was at the Wirecloth Company years back. Okay. But it dissipates very fast. Okay, I would get the worst end of the deal. Anyone that points after the music got the worst end of the deal. The guy that opened the valve didn't, and my dad, he got splashed, but not that much. Our backs were, my dad's back, was right against the coal-fired boiler, which was 120 degrees. Okay? And when that was working. So we'd actually sweat.
You gave up how many your whole lifetime of Christmas Eves to play this, haven't you?
60 years. My family devoted Christmas Eve to playing the whistle for the community, okay? And that was our Christmas Eve. Okay?
Think about that. Every Christmas Eve that he is there performing, he has given up every single one of them just so everybody can hear the factory steam whistle.
And would I do it again? Yes, I would.
York is the only place left in the world where you will hear this. And everybody in York, this has become our tradition. And we are so thankful that you have kept it up. The Mezzo has helped keep it up, and the Engineers Society have all pitched in to keep this thing going, because quite honestly, this whistle is wanting to quit. Every year, it seems like there is another struggle to keep this concert going. Now I'm out of practice.
I got competition.
Now I have to ask you.
My replacement.
This is hard. In order to keep those notes, like if you have 2 of the same notes together, you have to do that warble in between because there's no stopping the steam.
Right.
This let me give you the example I was just saying. Or if I wanted to play this note like 2 or 3 times, I would go, and you would hear something in between. But if it's a steam whistle, you have to go wow, 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 and just give it that warble in between to break them up. It is a hard instrument to play. Now, this is just a cigar box guitar and an EBO. I can only imagine how crazy it is and how stressful it is on a Christmas Eve to be moving that bar back and forth and hitting these notes. So that's my best impersonation of what you're doing. And I can tell you, even as simple as this, it is difficult. Kudos for what you're doing.
Thank you.
You are an amazing musician.
Thank you.
All right, you know what? Let's fire this thing up in the middle of the whole York Agricultural and Industrial Museum. This place is wild, it's huge, it's booming, and let's hear your whistle in here.
All right, we got about 150 PSI on the line here, so let's see what she'll do.
I'll do it, yes. Hold on, I gotta try this. Because you took the hose and you hooked it up to an air compressor hose, and instead of the air going outward, you brought the air inward to excite the cut that you have right in here, correct?
Yeah. And originally I was going to just drill into the end of this metal piece and mount a fixture in there, but then I was like, hey, wait, this thing was made to handle the flow of air. Why not use the original outlet as the new inlet?
That's genius.
So mounted that on there with a old New Hampshire license plate, used some reclaimed lag bolts to mount the thing to this sawhorse, and this sawhorse is actually also a relic from my grandfather's garage. It's older than I am, so I was able to it just looked right. It was the right fit, and instead of building something new out of 2x4s and lumber, this is what was meant to be.
Let's try this. Let me see. Let me see if I can do my best Don Ryan. This is interesting because you actually did the same thing here in this piece that comes out. Now show us what we're doing here.
Well, this, I sat down with it at different air pressures because the amount of pressure varies where it'll make sound and what pitches it makes. But I basically mounted this board here, which itself is a piece of reclaimed wood from an old railroad boxcar, which I thought was fitting with the...
This is a boxcar.
This was the side of a boxcar that was reclaimed from that, used in a dairy barn, then reclaimed from that, and I was able to get a hold of it. So just with it, sitting there with the pencil and the foot pedal, which we haven't even got to, the controller that controls the air, how it gets into the thing, and had to design it as a nice foot pedal setup for using on stage.
Which, one other thing about the foot pedal, it is the one thing that the steam whistle doesn't have is an easy controller to stop the flow of air. If you remember Don Ryan saying somebody has to pull for the steam to go, and that stays on for the duration of the song. Okay, what do we have here? This is the foot pedal, but what is underneath there?
Well, I knew when you're on stage playing this, you were going to need a way to control the flow of air. Because if it was just hooked up to an air compressor, it'd pretty much just be on. So also not just control the flow of air, but have a variable control so you could actually alter the pressure while it was going. So
that's
all this, this is just a regular nozzle that we had laying around the shop that
for an air compressor.
Yeah, just regular, and then I clamped some hoses onto it and some fixtures, and then this hinged piece here with the license plate on top is for your foot to rest on, so that as you press down on it with your foot, you can control how much air is going through. And I had to drill it out so more air could come through and you get louder volume, because
my band is quite loud.
Turn it up to 11 at least. So as you know from last night, it's down there on the floor at your feet.
It works perfectly too.
You're controlling the amount of air coming through while you're changing the pitch with the plunger.
Brilliant. But again, we are looking at something that was never intended to play music, just like the factory steam whistle, just like my cigar box guitar. And I think that is kind of a new renaissance that we're seeing in the world today of people, instead of just buying their instruments that are coming from China or whatever, they're going out into their junk pile and they're pulling things together and getting that American ingenuity that we used to have and bringing it back again. Let me pull this again around one more time just to get a look at the factory steam whistle here. And I'm sure somebody else could build one of these at home as well.
Absolutely.
Great.
And building a slide whistle from a PVC pipe is pretty easy. You can do that with a hacksaw and just some basic parts pretty quickly.
Well, C.B. Giddy, thank you so much for coming to York the whole way from New Hampshire just to bring this treasure built from trash that plays great music just like the York Factory steam whistle. Thank you.
It was an awesome project. I'm glad to have been a part of it. And I tell you, once you get started on making something like this, it's hard to stop. And I can't wait to see if other people can make something similar or even better. And we'll see where it goes.
Okay, so here we go. My band gets one of these.
Just one.
And we fire this sucker up to get the steam going. And then we put it into the new whistle, and we are the ultimate steampunk band.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start out this concert with something completely different. My man, Mr. C.B. Giddy, came the whole way down from New Hampshire with a brand new instrument for the Snake Oil Band. And this instrument is bass. It is dedicated to the city of York. And it is our own homemade version of York's factory steam whistle. So I am going to start out, ladies and gentlemen, it is Christmas time. And instead of waiting until December 24th at midnight, we're going to give you a little steam whistle right now. I'm doing the testing like they do. They always test it before they start playing.
No one around here.
Or am I working for a better life? Or am I chasing steam? Oh, factory whistle calling, voices of the dead. Can't resist the sirens call to save my life instead. Well, church bells were ringing time, crying from my wife. No more time for whistle blowing, factory took my life. Whistle call my name, or blow away my dream.
chasing steam? Am I working for a better life? Well, or am I chasing steam?